Calling this special school board meeting to order. Dr. Baraco.
So we'll do the pledge before our regular meeting,
Yes.
just for clarification
Yes.
purposes. Okay, so our purpose for the work session is to review board policy, so you should have two stapled documents before you. One is the draft of the board policy revisions, and then the second document would be the transportation guidelines on substance abuse and random testing and so forth. And that relates to one of the policies that we'll get to. And when we get to it, then we'll spend a little time looking at the transportation manual. So our first policy is 3120, employment of professional staff. And on the second page of that policy is where we have to choose the option. This is consistent with our current policy that we've said relatives of staff members may be employed by the corporation, but they cannot directly report to a family member. So if your direct supervisor is a family member, then you can't be hired for that. We have had occasions where relationships develop after hire, and then we have moved one of the two people in order to avoid that conflict, potential conflict. I don't know that we've had a conflict, but the reason for the policy is so that peers can't say someone's getting preferential treatment from a spouse or a parent or something like that. So that's not new. That's the same language we currently have. If you go to page 3 of that policy, I just want to draw your attention to a couple other pieces, including that if a professional staff member makes an intentional misstatement on their application, it shall be grounds for dismissal. Pretty standard throughout employment in America. And the next one I call your attention to is that there are some occasions in the summer where our assistant superintendent will ask for hiring authority to grant a contract to a staff member, generally teachers, prior to the board approving that person. And that we'd like to continue because, and we don't have this in our current, but it does help maintain continuity of the program because it allows us to lock in a quality staff member prior to the board approving. The other things are pretty standard, what we've been doing in the past, but those two that I highlighted, I just wanted to call your attention to those. And remember, then we're going to see the similar language in classified staff policy later in this packet. Then to page 4, we haven't had this, but I went ahead and checked the boxes because we do have a volunteer fire department in our community, so we could at some point have a staff member and I selected the may because generally speaking, the principal is going to know if there was a fire in the community, but if there is any doubt, it gives the principal of any school the right to ask for proof from the fire department that the absence was necessary, if that makes sense. Okay. So that would be 3120. (3120.01). This has to do with the public hearing prior to commencement of collective bargaining. You know, we always do this prior to September 15th. It is on the list for Representative Beaning, who is looking at doing another list of requirements to eliminate the other superintendents who I have spoken to claim like us that they've never had somebody come and say, you really need to negotiate for this with your staff, with your teachers. The categories that we can bargain are so narrow now, it doesn't really make that much sense. But currently, that hearing still does have to take place, so we'll update the policy just in case it doesn't go away.
So did I understand you to say that he was asking you to negotiate some of this with your teachers? No,
Who?
Officer or Mr. Bean?
No, he's trying to come up with things that are either redundant or not entirely necessary
Wow.
to take away some of the requirements for schools. And I have heard through a lobbyist that this is on that list to go away this year. So
Oh, the
this hearing,
requirement to do this hearing before the collective bargaining starts.
so remember, we've always tried to just do it at the beginning of a meeting, so we don't have to convene a separate meeting, but we've never had anybody show up to comment.
Right.
And that tends to be what's going on. But anyway, in the same policy, it asks us to select whether people can participate in that public hearing electronically. And for this policy, I selected that the board members may participate electronically, but the members of the public may not participate electronically. We have that with our regular board policy too, because we're just not totally sold yet on the technology that someone won't get cut off or whatnot or misrepresent. So having people who want to participate via comments at the public meeting who we don't know, it makes sense that we have them show up. And so that has to do with, commenting. Okay.
Okay.
3220, staff evaluation. On the bottom of the first page, I selected as needed. I think that for a while, it seemed like we were tweaking our staff evaluation plan annually, but as needed covers annually. So whenever it needs to be done, it can be done, and if it needs to be done more frequently, then it would be more frequently. As far as the rest of those items go, most of the stuff's pretty evident. Item D on page 2, though, I highlighted because we have historically given the opportunity for any staff member who gets a needs improvement the chance to discuss fully with their evaluator what's in there and why, and to fully understand any improvement plan that's going to be developed. And so we plan to continue that. It's fair and good.
And am I correct, there's not a data point anymore in those evaluations? Okay. Oh, well, okay.
And if you go to the
Thank you.
bottom of page 2, well, I guess it's in the middle of page 2, I highlighted the word may, because there's a lot of things that we can include in that evaluation. The important thing is that the evaluator see quality instruction being conducted in the classroom, and that when they see things of concern, that they address it. And then I highlighted this part on page 3. The principal shall report in aggregate the results of staff performance evaluations for the previous year to the superintendent at a public meeting. And I'm not sure, Mrs. Castaneda, how we have been doing that. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but maybe we haven't been. So you know, our number thankfully has generally been less than 5 people who are on improvement plans. But that's something we, as we update this, will have to give an aggregate list and, you know, well, we used to have, you know, the 4 categories. Now we're in different territory, but nonetheless, the board should be kept abreast of anybody who's not considered satisfactory in the classroom. I know for a while we had to do some stuff because if you had a teacher on a needing improvement, that a student couldn't have a need improvement teacher 2 years in a row, but I think that expired several years ago.
And I think I've asked in past years, maybe almost every year, do we have anybody on an improvement plan? So we're kind of covered, but it doesn't really do it in the public. You say 4 categories, you're talking below average, that stuff?
What was it? Highly effective,
Yeah, okay.
needs
didn't know.
improvement, and
But
what was the
same-
4th one?
Same descriptors, the same,
Yes, same four. So in there, by law, we no longer have to have it, but because the system's been working well for us.
I suspect over time, most people are going to move away from those 4, but they sprung it on us, and it wasn't worth changing for the current school
and when
year.
you say 4, are you talking about which part? The descriptors?
Yes, the highly effective, effective, improvement necessary, and ineffective, we no longer have to have.
Right, okay, but we do.
But we kept it because there wasn't,
But I thought you were talking about the areas, you know, the data analysis and all that, no, those are still the same?
no, we don't have to have the IGMs and the SLOs anymore. Is that what you're referring to? Where they had to go through the data points?
And I think what, professional development, involvement in the community or something like that?
Right, there still are components of the rubric that speaks to data, but it's not a standalone like it used to be.
Okay. If you think to send us the new evaluation, and it's probably not new, but could you do that?
Of course, it's the one that we've had, though.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Dr. Bracco, on that reporting at a public board meeting, do we have the option, instead of the principal, of having a designee do it? I would think that maybe Dr. Bracy,
Well-
in charge of the evaluation system, could give us a,
It says they give it to the superintendent, so I take that to be a central office report.
okay,
In the aggregate, not broken down by subject matter, so people can maybe figure out what's going on. That's, the intent is that you just know how many staff members are needing improvement. That's my impression of this change, which we can do.
And you can go online and see that. It lists for each corporation how many needs improvements we have in the data bank or whatever it is.
Okay. I think I have something out of order here. Well, we'll just keep going the order I have them, because that teacher appreciation grant should have been in there.
Next one is outside activities of staff. Is that where you're at?
Outside activities of staff, yeah. So I think I highlighted a couple things that are important, that staff members should not use school property or school time to solicit or accept customers for private enterprises. Tutoring and such tutoring, it would also, in that would include providing private lessons to people at the school. Because there is liability involved anytime a student is even working out at school, that injury could take place, and that's why we have facility use, and we require proof of liability insurance when people do the facility use. And I like E because it says specifically that you can't tutor your own child that you have in class. So there's an easy way around that. We have teachers in each building who do tutoring, and they can refer the person to someone who is not their student. And that has worked fine in the past.
And they can do that in the actual building? They don't have to go to the library. A lot of people go to the library, I see, but they can do that in the library, or in the school, correct?
Well, we had band tutoring in the schools for a time, but I don't know that it is any longer. Mrs. Castaneda, do you know if we backed off on that?
Are you talking when the band and choir could do private
Right.
lessons? Yeah,
Because
know
I thought for
that was an
band and
issue.
choir, we backed up on that.
I'm not currently aware of anyone who tutors inside the school. I think since it's
I'll
after
investigate
hours, a
that
lot
and
of them
bring,
meet
I'll
at a public
investigate that and
place.
get an answer to the board.
I think that was something that you worked really hard with them to promote, and that was part of the negotiation. just-
Well, we were trying to do anything we could to increase participation, and that was one of the recommendations they made,
Right,
that, the students who take private lessons are, significantly better at.
but this is just says during the normal workday, so after school, they could come and do them.
Right. Okay, 4120 is the sister policy to 3120. This one is support staff instead of certified staff. Same rule on having a staff member report directly to their immediate family member. Option C, and, corporation employees may not date, develop romantic relations with those that they supervise. So, people are supposed to
Right,
report that, and then, like I said, we have had relationships develop, and then we have moved one of the people to avoid any conflict with that situation. And then D gets into that, where they need to accept the decision of the corporation to transfer the employees, so they don't have a supervisor-subordinate relationship. Okay? And then the next part talks about the volunteer fire. That's page 3. Okay, we could also not just have a teacher or administrator, but we could have a custodial maintenance person or a food service person who's on the volunteer fire department. The same rules would apply to them. $5310, the health services. We have not, nor do I envision us doing any kind of non-emergency physical examination that would be considered invasive at school. That would be something that we always have a parent or guardian take their child to a professional of their choosing. And so I say reject that policy. Because if we accept it, even if we're not using it, it could give people the impression that we're going to use it. And I apologize for the flip you have to make right now, because I combined two sections and flipped the order. And so hopefully Howard's able to see that mistake, because he's got it electronically. Okay, election and eligibility to serve. This is one of those policies that really we don't have choices to make, but on the third page of the policy, they did change the eligibility on board member from age 21 to age 18. And then they did some wordsmithing and got rid of the governing body of a school corporation to just use the word board. So for that technical correction, we accept that. Those two highlighted areas are the only things that I saw that were significantly different from what we adopted in 2023. Executive session. Now, executive session has gotten better for us with the revision from last spring. And so if you go to page 2, we've historically discussed the issues that relate to negotiations. And then, even though we're not technically negotiating with classified staff, we have shared what it means for classified staff. In other words, what we're going to offer them as terms of their employment with pay and other things. But it is more explicit now that there are certain things that you can do in executive session if it's better for the district from a negotiating standpoint that they discuss the stuff in private. Things like if you were going out for bid on purchase or sale of land, that you can talk about it now in executive session at length because you don't really want to have your strategy out there at a public meeting. And then also the same goes for proposals when you're going to award a contract. It could be for software that we're going to bring in, and certainly with AI coming on, there are going to be changes in the way we offer products available for staff use and student use, and there would be the opportunity then to bring that information to an executive session instead of talking about it at public meeting, because you might not want to tip your hand about something that you're planning on doing.
So the requirements for minutes of an executive session shall be a specific reference to instance? Okay. I've always wondered
All
about
that
those.
says is that you have to declare that you followed the posting, and at your executive session, you did indeed talk about negotiations, and you did indeed talk about what and
But that's it.
what you said you were going to do.
Right.
That's right. You don't maintain
Right.
records of that, but the last statement again, that we check, in keeping with the confidential nature, no member of the board shall discuss the content of discussions that take place during executive session.
Right.
So it's for the ears of the board only. That brings us to 4162, drug and alcohol testing of CDL holders. This is where that second handout comes into play. So if we get to page 3, option 1. And so we are following federal and state regulations when it comes to any testing for CDL holders. We are required to give the test to every driver prior to employment. And each year, the state police come and audit the transportation director's files to see that every person who's a new driver did indeed have a pre-employment drug and alcohol test. We also reserve the right to test for other things, and that brings us to the separate packet, which really it comes into the main stuff is beginning on page 5. So this is the part that you may find interesting. So what I just mentioned, the pre-employment testing that the state police audits every year, the random testing that I knew took place, but I didn't know the details, that over the course of the year, you have to test at a minimum of 50% of the average number of employee positions in each year. We run around 80 drivers, and we test 12 drivers every quarter. And that's random. And then, of course, I highlighted number 3 because this is the one we're mostly familiar with, is that anytime anyone gets in an accident with any significant damage at all, we do require a post-accident test. So you may not need to be tested if you accidentally in a cul-de-sac smash someone's mailbox. But if there's an accident with 2 vehicles, it's almost always going to be over $1,000 of damage. And then the rest of the packet just goes through the procedures, and then at the end, you'll see the levels that, the cutoff for the screen. Again, these are all state and federal numbers. This isn't something that we select.
Okay.
Those are numbers that are required by the state.
So this is a state document then?
Well,
Because last year Chuck made some major changes to the policy, but I think that was just their handbook.
yeah, this is specific to substance abuse. So their handbook would be a separate document. Okay. Okay, 744001, electronic monitoring and recording. The school board authorizes the use and audio monitoring on school property and on buses. And I wanted to make sure I highlighted for everyone, no representation shall be made that the monitoring system is capable of ensuring protection. So a lot of movies you see, there's a high-rise apartment building and there's someone monitoring the cameras. We have no one doing such a task. So our cameras record and they enable us to unravel what happened, to look back at who did what. It would be extremely rare for someone to happen to be getting ready to look at something to review and catch something live. But our cameras, we have stated all the time that you don't have any expectation of privacy in the hallways at Lake Central. And we do have a lot of cameras at the high school and middle schools, not as many at the elementary, of course. But they don't prevent things from happening very often. They do unravel what actually happened very often. There's a piece in here on page 3 about vape devices. There's such mixed responses from people who tried to use them that we have not gone to that, although we do have administrators who do make it a point to try to duck in there into the washrooms at passing periods, because that's when a lot of that occurs. And I highlighted on page 3, if we did go to smart sensor monitoring equipment, we would notify parents. If we would do it, we would want the students to know we were doing it, so maybe they would stop before we had to catch people. But we don't have those devices currently.
Now, I remember reading somewhere there's a school down around Indy that does. Do you know who that is? And
I do not.
how effective it is?
I've just heard mixed reviews, mostly negative.
So a sensor goes off when it senses the smoke, I don't even know.
Right.
Do those things, do they give a smoke? They don't, do they?
Well, they initially came out for nicotine, and now that some of the vape devices are designed so that if you hold it in long enough, there's very little exhaust that comes out. Your lungs actually absorb most of it. And then my son at Purdue said that there's a big movement away from even the vapes now, where the pouches that contain the nicotine without any tobacco are preferred by students at the college level. So this thing continues to change. The tobacco industry has, I think, been pretty nimble, and they've figured out how to stay profitable throughout all these changes, although their products continue to not be healthy. So that's our list for this evening, and I apologize on that one policy. I thought I had the tag in there, but I didn't add it back in. But we'll have another small group for January 20th.
So, yeah, I was going to ask you, I know that there were some board policies that we have not done, so that'll be in another packet forthcoming?
Yeah, one of them is they rolled the entire vending machine policy into the wellness policy, and the wellness policy was already approaching 20 pages. So I have to read through the old one and see what the changes are, but that'll be in the next grouping along with the tag and some other things.
Okay. All right. And is there a board policy that, is there a board policy? I know it's in the end code, but did it trickle down to a board policy for our salary increases, or do we need to worry about that?
That is in the organization meeting tonight, and so we have annually reaffirmed what the board pay rates would be for the annual salary, as well as the regular meeting or executive session or work session like what we're doing right now. And so you will approve that tonight during the organizational part of the meeting.
Sorry, I didn't read that.
That's okay. Anything else before we adjourn this first meeting?
It confused me when it was at the end. I'm so used to it being at the beginning. No, nothing for me.
Any other board comments? We have nobody in our public seating, so there's no public comments. Do we have motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. And the Pledge of Allegiance.
And to the people from which it can, we should honor them, indivisible, with the justice for all.
All right, we'll start our 2026 organizational meeting. And we will start with election of officers. Do we have any nominations?
I would like to make a motion. Whoa. What's the problem? I have an echo. Is that better? Okay, sorry. I would like to make a motion, Cindy, that we continue with the present board members to hold the offices that they have during the 24-25 year and carry that over to 25-26. That would be Cindy Suze as president, Janice Melko as vice president, and Nicole Kelly as secretary.
Thank you. We have that nomination. Do we have a second?
Second?
Second from Dr. Malco. All right, we'll have to do individual roll call. Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Aye. And I am an aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Then we'll move to item number B, reaffirmation of school board's code of ethics. Hopefully you all were able to reread those that we get every year. Thank you for putting that together. And do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve from Ms. Kelly. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Talent. Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Aye. And I am an aye. Motion passes. Our establishment of school board compensation.
Move for improvement?
We have a motion from Dr. Malco. I'm sorry, Dr. Bracco, C1, is that included in this?
They are one and the same.
One and the same, thank you. I'm sorry, Dr. Malco motioned, and I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Aye. And I am an aye, motion passes. Our appointment of school attorneys. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion from Ms. Kelly,
I'll second.
I'll second.
second from Mrs. Talent. Any discussion?
Could you remind me who they were, Mr. James?
So for our general school attorney, we continue to be Jackie Pilar with Pilar Jones. Monica Conrad deals with our special education cases. And then we're introducing Eric Long with Ice Miller out of Indianapolis, would help if we would do any sort of debt issuance as bond counsel.
Thank you.
Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Aye. I am an aye, motion passes. Our appointment of treasurer.
Do we have a name?
I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher it.
So Ed Sopko is our
Sopko.
current corporation
Thank you.
treasurer. And so this would be to reappoint Ed as the
Say
treasurer.
that again, I'm sorry.
Ed Sopko is our current corporation treasurer, and this would continue to have Ed in that role.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Talent, I will second that. Any discussion? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Aye. I am an aye, motion passes. Our liaison appointments.
Move for improvement, but I don't know, could you identify the positions, or have we talked about that yet?
We have not discussed it. I apologize. I assumed that everybody was staying in their current positions. Is there a committee you would not want to do or want to do?
From my point of view, I would like to serve on the same committees that I have, and thought pretty much the same thing, that we would continue our committee memberships and trying to attend those committees as we did have it last year.
And I agree with Louise. I would like to also stay on the same ones that I've been on.
Okay, and that's fine. Should we go down in order? Like, who will be doing the personnel interview? Will that be Mr. Marshall?
All right, I'm not sure what you're asking.
Do you want to stay on the Personnel Interview Committee?
I would like to stay there, subject to my state of health. If I'm unable to meet that obligation, we can appoint a secondary person.
Thank you. So Mr. Marshall will be our Personnel Interview Committee, and Ms. Kelly, you will do the Schererville redevelopment as well as the Schererville Parks Department.
Yes, Mrs. Seuss, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Malco, are you still wanting to do the Lake Central Education Foundation Committee role?
Right,
Okay, and then were you on the Legislative Committee?
correct, in Dyer Park.
Dyer Parks. Okay. I will do the St. John Redevelopment Commission meeting and Dollars for Scholars. And then Ms. Talent, you'll do the Dyer Redevelopment Commission as well as the Wellness Committee.
Yes, that would be great.
All right.
Motion to approve those appointments?
All right, we have a motion from Ms. Kelly,
Second?
second from Dr. Malco. Any other discussion? Mr. Marshall?
I
Ms.
got
Talent?
ahead of myself.
That's all right. Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion passes. And did everyone have an opportunity to read the conflict of interest policy so that we can get those out?
Yes, motion to approve that.
Motion from Ms. Kelly. I will second that. Any discussion? Mr. Marshall?
I
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion passes. Do we have a motion to adjourn the organizational meeting?
Aye.
We have a motion from Dr. Malco,
I'll second.
second from Ms. Kelly. Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. All right. Now we're going to go into our school board meeting. Sorry about that, it was a little loud. We will move into our agenda approval, deletions, additions. Dr. Veraco.
Thank you, Mrs. Seuss. There are no agenda additions for this evening, so the original copy you received last week is the agenda for this evening.
Motion to approve?
Motion from Ms. Kelly, I will second that. Any discussion? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Is there any correspondence this evening, Ms. Kelly?
There is not, Mrs. Seuss, thank you.
All right, and we'll move into our liaison committee updates, and we'll start with Ms. Kelly.
My meetings are this week and next week, so I might have new news for the next meeting. Thank you.
Dr. Malco?
There's nothing to report.
Thank you.
Are you want me to report?
Yeah,
Okay.
Dr. Malco.
Education Foundation did not meet in December, and I believe that we meet in January. Dyer Parks, still working on just trying to get the construction completed that they're working on. And I believe Dr. Veraco, again, is kind enough to give us a report on legislative, so I will defer my report until later. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Talent?
I have nothing to report for the Dyer redevelopment. We did meet in December, but information for us here at our school level is, really didn't pertain too much. However, the commission president, Mary Tanis, did indicate, as well as the town manager, Mr. Hine, that they would definitely like to have the Lake Central School Corporation representative, myself, to be part of the attendance in the roll call. And I thought that was a cooperative move, and so I wanted to report that. Our Wellness Committee will be meeting tomorrow night at 4:15.
You know, Mrs. Suze, could I interject? I forgot to announce that the Lake Central Education Foundation was the recipient of a nice donation from the Dyertown, I think around $2,500, and similar donation from the Sherrville Town Hall. And,
Wow.
yeah,
Nice.
another $2,500. So I'm not sure where they are with St. John.
They are to meet, from what I heard in the last email, hopefully in January, if it works out, for their
Good.
agenda.
Great.
Good.
So to our communities, we give you a big thank you for doing that for us.
And with my two committees, we are quiet. We'll start to gear up for Dollars for Scholars with our seniors here real soon, so look for those announcements to be coming out. Now on to our official school board business topics consent agenda. Dr. Braco?
As part of our consent agenda, seek board approval for the minutes from our executive session and regular board meetings on December 8th of 2025. Also seek board approval for the claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures you received in your packets last week.
So moved.
Motion from Dr. Malco,
I'll second.
second from Ms. Talent. Any discussion? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Aye. And I am an aye. Motion passes. Thank you. I don't think there's any public comments this evening for action items, so we'll move into our official school board business topics, regular agenda. Dr. Braco?
My one item is just to kick off the legislative update for 2026. The short session has started and actually commenced back in December. Word on the street is that they intend to be done by the end of February this year. We did get some good news on the revenue front. Last week, it was reported by the State Budget Office that revenues are coming in better than anticipated. They're now estimating a fiscal budget increase of 4.2% for 25-26 and 2.7% the following year. Remember, the state fiscal year budget runs July to June. So the cash balance, if they do nothing and that forecast holds true, they could have a cash balance approaching 22%. That would be good, considering they have some Medicaid holes to fill. On the Medicaid front, they also announced that participation in the state had dropped by 300,000 members. And so in the last biennial budget, they mentioned Medicaid each time they talked about it, for why the other governmental entities would not maybe get as much, because they had to be concerned about the Medicaid piece. So hopefully they can fill that hole in Medicaid and not cut it any further, and then also be able to take it off the table so that when the next biennial budget is discussed, Medicaid is not a factor. Word on the street is they won't be making any major adjustments in the short session. That's typical. They usually don't. But they usually don't get this good of a updated forecast either. So who knows? It'll be an interesting 8 weeks. We'll continue to follow it and update the board each board meeting as we follow what is going on down there. There are a couple of interesting pieces of legislation. One of them is regarding increasing the ability to block student devices from getting into certain sites, certain areas, mostly games, sometimes because of the advertisements that come associated with the games. We had an interesting conversation about this morning at our admin meeting with all of our principals and directors. And so it'll be interesting to see what kind of guidance they give us, and then how stringent it has to be, because it does get complicated because of the way some of these games are placed on certain websites that aren't necessarily blocked, and yet you don't still want the kids having access to that game. So it'll take some work, but it'll be interesting. You hate to do anything until the General Assembly says, here's a basic framework. So we'll follow that piece closely. The other piece that keeps coming up is the SCA 1 from 2025. Locally, we've heard that some including cities and towns and township trustees, are pushing back on the General Assembly because of the foreseeable damage due to the supplemental deduction. We spent a lot of time explaining to our residents during the referendum how 26, but especially in 27 and 28, revenue is going to be significantly reduced. I think that thing will continue to be a conversation with people. I ran into our referendum consultant at a Purdue basketball game a week ago, and he has between 40 and 50 districts talking to him about an interest in possibly going to referenda in the fall, and then he believes it could be as many as 80 statewide. So that'll be interesting. Of course, the cities and towns, if they need extra revenue, they'll be going down the local option income tax path, but they won't have to knock on doors. They just need to get a majority of their council to say yes. But as we shared last fall, you know, the units really were, even governmental units who were minimally impacted by the tax cap in the past gets much more impacted when the new formula significantly reduces the net assessed value of properties in any town, city, or in our case, school district. It's difficult to tell whether they'll talk about this much at all officially in the short session. Because as I said, you know, the most damaging impacts appear to be coming in 27 and 28. However, hopefully they won't wait that long, because if they wait till the spring of 27, then a lot of damage could already be done. So we'll follow this one closely, because it would be beneficial to a lot of governmental entities if it didn't go as far as what the current law says. So that's my quick update. The session starts this week in earnest. If I see anything good, I'll forward it to the board in the interim, and we'll do another update on the 20th.
Thank you for that, Dr. Varga. Our Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. Castaneda.
Thank you. For my first item, I am seeking the board's approval for the personnel recommendations.
Motion to approve?
Motion for Ms. Kelly, I will second that. Any discussion or questions? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent? Aye. Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Aye. And I am an aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. For my second item, I am seeking the board's approval for the professional leave request.
Move for improvement.
Motion from Dr. Malco,
I'll second.
second from Ms. Kelly. Any discussion? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Aye. I am an aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. And for my last item, I'm seeking the board's approval for some small updates to the certified handbook. Throughout the document, we did change the language just to reflect certified staff member where it said teacher in most instances, just to encompass all of our staff. We also updated some language that still had personal and family illness days instead of sick. And then we changed the teacher appreciation grant language to match the new tag, which I talked about at a previous board meeting in December.
So moved?
Motion from Ms. Talent,
Second.
second from Dr. Malco. Any discussion? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Aye. I am an aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then Mrs. Schoeneman's going to be our Director of Primary Education.
Yes. On behalf of Dr. Bracy, I am seeking the board's approval for the professional leave requests included in her board packet.
Move for approval.
Motion from Dr. Malco. I will second that. Any discussion? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Aye. I am an aye. Motion passes. And now our Director of Secondary Education, Mrs. Schoeneman.
Thank you. For my first item, I would like to invite Mr. Ed Beck up to share the Lake Central High School new course proposals. And as he heads up, I am passing down a handout for you. And just to preface, there are numerous new course proposals, and for the most part, this is to stay in line with the new diploma requirements and to make sure that we are offering our students opportunities to earn the Honors Seal and the Honors Plus Seal through these offerings.
Okay, are we?
Are you projecting on the screen?
No.
All right, welcome. So we anticipate there's going to be more of these next year as we are coming in line with the new state requirements for the class of 2029 and beyond and the high school diploma requirements. So this is the first batch that we're moving to put into place. AP is a big component for your seals and so forth. So there is two new AP courses we are looking to add, the AP Business and Personal Finance, which is a new course that has not been offered. We were told that this will also meet the personal finance requirement, which is now a part, like we've had the local requirement for personal finance in this district, but now it is a statewide requirement, personal finances. This is a year-long. It's only required for a semester, but this does meet that semester. Finite math we have offered in the past. It is a dual credit option, which again, dual credit and AP is a big part of the different seals and so forth. So we're going to try and see if we can get this one going again as a second semester alternative for senior level math. They will all take pre-calc, but then they will have the option of stats or finite math. The fundamentals of human service, this is a new pathway from the FACS department. They have gotten rid of the human services pathway, so we are adopting the new pathway that they offered, which is the fundamentals of human services. There will be a second year class next year because this is, I'm sorry, a third year class next year because this is the second year class. The first year class is the same from the old human services pathway, so we still have that one. It's already been approved. This is the new second year class. So those kids took it this year, and then they will take this one next year. Swimming for Fitness is a course we've offered in the past, and we're bringing it back. We need lifeguards, so we want to try and keep our pool running with only one credit required of PE. That does impact the amount of, we're worried it's going to impact the amount of future lifeguards. So we can get kids to become involved in the pool. Hopefully that we will not lose that. The next two is technical communication and dual credit thinking and argumentation. This is basically English 12 composition, the dual credit comp and the regular comp. But one of the new graduation requirements in the 8 semesters of English, they need a communications credit. So this would count as a communications credit. There are other courses they can take, but this is one that will automatically count for it, or it will count for English. So this one could go either way. So we wanted to add that. And then the AP English 10 seminar, that would get rid of the Honors English 10, and that would become an AP class, again, to increase our AP offerings. The Principles of Interior Design. So we have had, for years, the Housing Interior Design class, which was a semester. The state is no longer going to be recognizing that class. So they want us to offer Principles of Interior Design, and that is now a year-long course. So we are changing that class. And then the last one is just a name and code change, which would get and the Principles of Interior Design, those would both get us CTE funding. So that's why we're changing the course there. And same thing with the Principles of Culinary and Hospitality. It's a name and code change, which is for CTE funding. It's a class we already offer, but we offer it under a different name. So, questions?
I noticed on one of the requests that you went to a session maybe at Lowell to update on the changes. Is that what you went for? Was that part of this?
That was part of it. I did not go, but some of the, Aaron and Richard, I believe, were the ones, and Ashley went.
Carrie Reedy, right?
Yeah.
Her name was on it.
Sorry. Yeah, they were the ones who went to that, but that was part of it. We are learning. The state curriculum guide did not come out till the day before break, so we wanted to do this about 2 months ago, but we had to wait until we got that guide. So
That's what I was just going to ask you is where's the curriculum for these? Because you can't just buy a textbook.
Right, so that's all going to
So-
be worked on and worked out from now on.
Just changing the name.
Right, right. But I was thinking that finite math, does that replace anything that we had already?
No, we've offered it in the past, so we do have it. We are, because it's a dual credit option, and stats is not, we want to try and get finite back to replace stats, because that would provide the 3 credits of the 6 that they need for the enrollment seal diploma. It just gives the students another option.
Sure, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Beck.
Thank you, Ed.
It's an exciting time
Yes.
for Lake Central High School. And as Val Gardner, our math coach, says, it's a really exciting time for math. There are so many opportunities there for new courses, and we appreciate her vision there as well. Thank you, Mr. Beck. For my second item, I am seeking the board's approval for the professional leave request included in my packet.
So moved.
Motion from Ms. Talent,
I'll second.
second from Ms. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malko?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
And I am an aye, motion passes.
Thank you. And for my third and final item, I am seeking the board's approval for the field trip requests also included in my packet.
Motion to approve?
Motion from Ms. Kelly, I will second that. Any discussion? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malko?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
I am an aye, motion passes. Thank you this evening. And on to our Director of Student Services, Mrs. Grimala.
Thank you. My first item is to seek your approval for the professional leave request that was included in your packet.
So moved.
Motion from Ms. Talent,
I'll second.
second from Ms. Kelly. Any discussion? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malko?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
I am an aye, motion passes.
And then for my second item, I just wanted to run through our special education child count. This was included in your board packet, but I also give you a handout because what was scanned for you is sideways, so you don't have to look at your iPad sideways tonight. So we completed our annual child count on December 1st this year, and I have to give a huge thank you to Teresa Scherzinger and both Kathy Phipps and Robin Mestrich in my office, but especially Kathy Phipps because she was relentless when it came to this data. And all of our data came out of our new IEP program this year, which has been difficult to say the least. And between Teresa and Kathy, they worked tirelessly to make sure that every student was counted and that our data was accurate. So this would not have been possible without those two ladies. So I have to thank them. So our funding for special education is based on this annual census. So just as a reminder, this census determines our APC funding, which are the additional dollars we get for students with disabilities. And this census data also contributes to our Part B grants and our funding for the those special education grants. So I listed our total APC, and I'm calling that our approximate APC because they've had to push. Typically, we do this count on December 1st, and it's like 2 weeks later, everybody signs off on it. This year, the sign-off date has been pushed now to this Friday. Usually it's about a week after the count, and they've pushed it back multiple times because of the difficulties with the data. So I'm still saying this is approximate numbers, but we are seeing a slight increase of about 52,000 in our allocation this year, which is a surprise because if you look at the next page, not only did we have a decrease in students this year, so we're down about 65 overall, 65 students overall in our population for Lake Central, but they also decreased our funding in every funding area, which was a little bit of a surprise to me because I did not catch that in the legislative session. And neither did Mr. James, who usually catches those types of things. So I think they were a little sneaky about that. Now, we have had several years of increases, but they snuck this one in. So on that top table, you can see each of the funding groups and our funding amounts. So they weren't huge decreases, but they did decrease every area. So that's a first in my time in special education, that we have seen a decrease in funding. So we did see an increase in our students in Group 1, which are the students with the most significant disabilities, and that's also our highest funding level, which is probably why we're still seeing an increase in our overall funding. So we were up 18 students in that Group 1 funding level. We saw a decrease of 14 students in Group 2, which is our more higher incidence disabilities. Group 3 is that tricky group. Those are our students with speech or language impairments. Those students can be counted twice. So any student who has that listed as a secondary disability, so they might be counted in Group 1 and Group 3. And then we are down in our preschool also. So overall, given our decrease in enrollment across the district, it's not surprising that we are also down related to our students with IEPs. So then that last chart, it just shows kind of our trend. So we're certainly not at our lowest level, but we are sort of back to where we were in 2020. So we definitely saw a spike after 2020, and we've leveled out to almost exactly where we were in 2020 as far as our number of students with disabilities. So that is just a summary for all of you. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
So I'm curious, and excuse me for being out of touch with what's going on, but did the federal government give an increase in this funding? And is the federal government even still with the Department of Education?
So the federal government, the only money that we get from the federal government is our Part B grants. So this funding is our APC funding, which is state funding. So these numbers will impact what we get in our Part B grants, but these dollar amounts don't come from the federal government.
So do we have a Department of Education at the United States level?
No.
It is gone.
Well, it's they're kind of in name, yeah, but they're eliminating a lot of the functionality. So it still exists. We still have a Secretary of Education at the federal level, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I was thinking there was an increase in funding for special needs, but I must have dreamed that.
Not at this point, no.
Go ahead, Larry, you have something to say?
Okay.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I imagine our student population was much higher in 2020 also, so really your percentage of the student body, then you've increased your percentage. If you would look at student enrollment,
Yes.
25 compared to 20, you have increased your percentage.
Yes, yeah, and if you look at certainly like the Group 1, which is the students with the most intense disabilities, that number of students has increased.
Yeah. No surprise on that, though, is it?
No, no, if you talk to any of our principals, they wouldn't be surprised, or teachers, they wouldn't be surprised by that either.
Yeah, it's a tough responsibility, and, you have a great reputation. It's a tough responsibility, and you have a great reputation, so why not go where the best is located? You know?
We have a lot of great people who work very hard
Oh, you
every
do.
day.
You do.
All right, thank you. Our Director of Facilities, Mr. Ledyard.
Thank you, Mrs. Seuss. I just have an update for the board tonight. This summer, we replaced some condensers at Pfeiffer Elementary School, and with the optimization program, we applied for some incentives from NIPSCO. And in December, we did receive our incentive check for $2,839.10, and it's been given to Mr. James, so we got that for our Pfeiffer work this summer.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
All right, our Director of Business Services, Mr. James.
Thank you. First, I'd like just to update the board on our property tax collections. So on December 22nd, all taxing units in the county received our tax settlement from the county auditor. And this year, we had a tax collection rate of 99.6%. So I want to thank all of our community members for paying their taxes timely. We generally average around 98%, so we're still right there on target. So that's good news for us. So thank you, everybody. And then any questions on that?
No, that's great news, so.
Yep. And my second item is just to seek your approval for the donations that were included in your board packet.
Motion to approve?
Motion from Ms. Kelly. I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Aye. I am an aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And there are no public comments, so we'll move into board comments and consideration of future agenda items. Mr. Marshall?
I would like to take this opportunity to thank the entire school board and existing staff of Lake Central for the considerations extended to me during my medical hiatus here. Hopefully, I'm going to be back soon. Thank you again.
All right, we look forward to that. Ms. Talent?
We'd just like to say thank you to the people that work behind the scenes that we've heard about tonight, and also for all the work that we've heard presented by Mr. Beck this evening for our high school course offerings.
Thank you. Dr. Malco?
I would just like to thank Mr. Marshall for being back with us tonight. It's nice to see your face. And Louise, you're right, there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are doing great things, and we do appreciate that. Even though you're all kind of tired and school hasn't really even started, but you were working over the holidays, we know the game. We know the game, but so we wish you a good 2026, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Ms. Kelly?
I'll piggyback on that. Yes, welcome back. And just hope that all of our staff and our students have a successful second semester.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah, that's all good. That's all good. All right, with that, we'll turn it into Dr. Veraco for board calendar or future activities.
All right, our next board meeting will be Tuesday, January 20th, to stay off of the MLK holiday. And I did double check, and it's okay, Jeannie, because you have it in the board website from the November 3rd board meeting where we put it on that Tuesday. So just to clarify for everybody, though, this agenda says, on the notes, it says the 19th, but the official minutes will reflect that that meeting will be on the 20th. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
January?
Mm-hmm. So don't show up on that Monday. Show up on Tuesday.
Whichever will fall on a Tuesday.
That's President's Day.
Did you say call for adjournment?
I'm going to now.
Oh.
Do we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we're adjourned.